we're going to talk about, and the question is really about building a network. It's about the value of peer collaboration. So if you don't mind telling us, how have you collaborated with other schools, if you have, to share ideas, and how this has tangibly impacted what you have done on your campus? You can talk about giving back, you can talk about a community, you can talk about networking, but really the value it brings and it has brought to you, or your thoughts and ideas. Sure.
That's a great question. I guess I'm a little different, probably, well, in more ways than one, but when I came to Johnson County Community College, it is sort of the jewel of Overland Park, Kansas, if you will. It has been there many years. It has a huge community investment. The investment is incredible. We have a museum. We have 43,000 students. And so there was a lot of network already there, to be honest with you. We have a huge performing arts series. And so for me, it was more plugging into that network as opposed to creating it. And what I've done is, it's kind of simple, but just started attending events. And because I do have a number of really tenured staff, I asked, what do they do? And got on the mailing lists and just started to seek things out. For me, I'm a big Twitter guy, so I was always out there checking what I'd need to join. Same for LinkedIn. But it's really important for us because a large part of our funding does come from the property tax base. So I view my position as very much outward facing. It's the last thing and maybe the highlight of what we've done. It wasn't me per se, but as a college, is we built a collaboration center. And it was a major investment by our college to put in place a large multi-use space. It's not simply an active learning classroom, but it's that on steroids, if you will. It has a lot of not just shiny penny technology, but it has resources in there to help and assist everybody from students to community, et cetera. And really the primary driver, frankly, behind it was to bring community events in. And that has really been now going on, I believe, about a year, has really started to increase. So I think it's just things like that pretty much I've used.
Thank you. Param, please.
So I think higher education is, I think, one of the probably only industry where everybody wants to talk to each other, right, and help each other. And this was, I think, about 4 years ago. So we didn't have an information security officer. We didn't have a budget or a position to hire somebody full time. So I reached out to 2 other colleges at that time, and we've actually hired a CISO together because none of us could afford one. And so we said, well, let's all pool our resources together and get somebody together. And we had that arrangement for 3 years. And it worked out really well. And I think now we have a full-time CISO because we have a enterprise risk management program in place, which is coming from the Board of Trustees. So our needs have grown, obviously, like I'm sure all of you. But I think that's how we need to kind of start thinking about it. Instead of doing everything on our own, like on our own campuses, how can we think about like pooling our resources together? And how do we kind of do those things? Another great success story, for at least for Bucknell, has been, so we are part of, for those of you in Pennsylvania, know the network called Kimber, which is, we got $100 million from the NTIA back in 2009 to create the statewide network. And Bucknell was one of the charter members that, with Penn State and University of Pennsylvania, Drexel, and many other institutions. But I think that's the level that we need to kind of really think about outside our institutions and what's the value that it brings back to us on campuses. And we are doing a lot more of that thinking because obviously none of us have unlimited resources, but we want to do much more than we are doing today without giving up a whole lot. So I think that's when we kind of need to look outside and partner with other institutions.
Thank you. Rhonda, do you want to take that?
Sure. And first, I want to agree with my colleagues. Definitely, networking is critical. And I could venture to say that neither of us would be sitting here without our network, because it really is an important part of professional development and career development. One of the things that I'm working with my team on is, I think, as we get to a level, the CIO level, even dean's director levels, there are natural collaboration and groups, networking groups that exist. And in Maryland, we have a phenomenal network where all the CIOs that have the same ERP SIS system, we get together. And that's what Parm was talking about. We have Maryland Online is another organization that is all of the colleges and universities in Maryland who have online programs. We get together and talk about that. And so we have some of these kinds of events getting together. So I would just encourage everyone, as you get out, either within your state, establish an organization or a group and just start meeting and start talking, because I think, as Parm said, we never would have enough resources individually to meet all the needs that we have, but we really would need to leverage that. One thing I would like to say is, I think it really is about how do we push that down in the organization. It's about the directors always get together, the deans always get together, the CIOs, the vice presidents always get together. How do we get, even at the lowest level of the organization, how do we get the help desk teams across the colleges to get together, and how can we start to share and network at all levels of our organizations, and not only the leadership of our institutions are having these same kinds of conversations. And I think to the extent that we can make that happen, I think we all can benefit, starting with events like this. As you meet people, exchange information, see what systems you have in common, reach out, and we all say we will keep in touch. I'm asking you to try to really do that. Because we all are dealing with all the same problems, and we sit on our campuses and our offices, and we struggle with it, and we don't have to. So I think if we can all look at it and reach out, I think we all can benefit from it.
Ray, please, what's your take?
Well, to add what's been said already, collaboration doesn't happen in a vacuum. Collaboration happens because we make it happen. And it's up to all of us to engage with each other, engage with our state systems, if we're public and private, engage with our peers. We're all in the one same business. We're in the student success business. And like you said, Param, this is one of the very few industries, I come from 25 years in the private sector, where we are willing to work together. And we need to work together. We can do so much more. In Massachusetts, it's called, we have multiple, universities and community colleges. And our Commissioner of Higher Ed recently addressed our Board of Trustees, and the opening slide was 29 campuses, one system. And it's so true. We're all in the same business. We might have different line items in the budget, but we all need to pull together and be more efficient. And as part of that, like you said, get involved. We can all get involved from the middle to the bottom to the top. And in my case, I got involved by chairing our local CIO council. And it's coming to an end. My next meeting, I'll be done because it's a volunteer position, but you can do it. And to build on it, when we met recently, about a year ago when I got started, it was a little bit of complaining amongst ourselves about what we didn't have and how tough our life was. But really, I heard an undercurrent of success stories brewing throughout the CIO Council. So yes, I have another brochure. What we did was we produced another publication called CIO Council Outcomes, or CIO Outcomes. And these are all success stories of how we collaborated across the system and how multiple schools partnered, like you said, to hire a common CIO, to partner on an ERP or a banner implementation or student information system. And this was actually targeted for the Board of Higher Education and the Council of Presidents in our system. Plus, back to your campuses, you can take it back and show your staff how you're not only impacting the lives of students on your campus, but also the lives of students across the whole state and across the nation and across the world. So I think collaboration is a golden opportunity. One other thing we can do as leaders is we can engage people to volunteer and get out in the community. Like you said earlier in my intro, we did a Habitat for Humanity volunteer campaign where IT went out and did volunteer work at Habitat for Humanity. But this year, like you said, we started an even higher challenge and said, look, instead of helping one organization, let's plan for the whole year ahead And basically, we have a volunteer program in our state where you can volunteer, up to 7.5 hours a week, and you get reimbursed for that. Well, the state funds that already. So I ran the numbers and figured out how many volunteer hours we could have. We could have 5,400 volunteer hours if we all volunteered each day, each month. And set a target goal of half of that number, 2,500 hours. And I'm proud to say we're 2 months in, and we've already volunteered about 350 person hours out into 20 different institutions, and nonprofit institutions are benefiting. So I think it's all about community, it's all about outcomes, and giving back. And like you said, none of us are in this to get rich, right? We're here to help students be successful, to help people be successful, and collaboration plays a big role in that.
Thank you, Ray. Ken, please.
Yeah, so I think I'd like to address this in a couple of different ways. First of all, on a personal level, we have to, change the culture around it's okay to go and ask for help. It doesn't reflect poorly on your ability to lead or your ability to show that you're capable of doing your job. It's the way that we succeed best of all. I also subscribe to a mentor-mentee program. You need to have somebody that you can work with, that you trust, that can be your advisor on a close level and tell you the kinds of things you need to be doing. And also take that to the next level. Find somebody that you can help and be that mentor for them and bring them along to the position. We fortunately, in the Florida Community College system, we have a CIO panel council. We meet virtually and in person on a regular basis. We share through various means of communication the issues we're dealing with. We all dealt with security issues together. We actually had 7 colleges develop our legacy ERP application together, and so we're making it work, and there's various ways to do that. But I like the empowering people to work together. One of the other things that I'm looking to do for the institution, and we talked a little bit about innovation. The best way to collaborate with the folks is allow them to have a way to get you ideas. Through an innovation portal, and even to the point of incentivizing that innovation portal, allow people to share ideas within the organization. There's people, at the front lines and at the admissions office, in the accounting office that have some great ideas. We just don't give them the method to get them surfaced and actually actionable. So we're going to work to put something like that in place as well.